Hello everybody, I'm Taluka from Markers and Minions, and this is my Facebook group. Welcome. We've got a lot of new members, so I just want to go over the introduction again. I created this group because I wanted a place to be able to collaborate without the negativity that normally comes around adopting new series or any sort of change really in the teacher community. So this group is really founded on productive conversation and, being able to come to a space, ask a question, and get some valuable insight. It's very collaborative, so if you are new, make sure you check out the tabs. On the left-hand side of your screen, when you are on our group page, you'll see different tabs. So one is the Files tab. And that's where we upload any kind of files that we're using in our classrooms. One thing that I upload quite a bit are the vocabulary picture file cards. I've got pictures that go with every single vocabulary word for every single unit from kinder to 5th grade. So those are available. I've been releasing those in batches. Hold on, Robin, not there yet, girlfriend. I've been releasing those in batches, so I'm up to Unit 3 right now with the vocabulary picture file cards. I've recently learned how to zip files, so I might try, whenever I get some time this week at some point, I might try to zip all the units and then upload it by grade level, because that would just make it so much more organized. So it's just a matter of me figuring out how I'm going to zip those and finding the time to do that. But in the meantime, it's up to Unit 3. The other tab that you might find very useful is the Videos tab. So I've got these Plan With Me videos, which is every other Sunday, and as soon as this live video ends, it will be archived in the Videos tab. I've got Q&A videos that I also do every other weekend. Next weekend is going to be a Q&A video with 2 benchmark consultants, so they will be there to answer your questions live. And I also have videos of my classroom, so me teaching mini lessons. I have a video of my centers, and I've got a couple of how-tos. Oh yes, I have like a couple of how-tos that, I figured out how to record my screen. And so I have a how-to on everything assessment related. So assigning those online tests, grading the written components, and analyzing the scores. That's on there. I also have a video on how to access the graphic organizers online. So check out those tabs. Another thing is, if you're new to the group and you have lots of questions, there's also a search bar that's underneath all those tabs where you can type in a keyword. So if you have a question about assessment, type it there, and all of the threads that are pertaining to assessment will pop up. So before you post a comment with a question, see if you can find your question answered already, because this group's been around now for a long time, 6 weeks, so we've got a lot of insight on here. Let's see, I've got 400 pending members, which I know a couple weeks ago I was like, I have 50 pending members, what am I gonna do? It's at 400 now, and I can't possibly just add all of them, because I'm getting a lot of strange people trying to get into this group. And so if you have invited a friend, please make sure they answer those 3 screening questions, so that I know that they're a teacher, I know they're teaching benchmark, and I know that they're here to learn. A little bit about my Tpt Store. I have a Tpt shop where you can find paid resources and free resources. One of the best freebies that I have, a couple of the best freebies I have are the planning template, which a lot of us use during these sessions. Go ahead and download this for free. There's a unit template, there's a weekly template. I have one for K1 and one for 2 through 6. You can also find my close reading annotation posters on there for free. And I also have some paid resources. It's just things that I make for my own class. They go along with benchmark. It's all taken from benchmark, so I'm not supplementing in any way. I'm just taking the information from the website and making it a little bit more like student friendly. making it work better for my centers pretty much. So those are on there. Also, I have focus walls as well on there, and they're based off of the California version of Benchmark. As this group's growing, I'm noticing more people from, like, you know, North Dakota and other places. So our TRSs might not match up completely the same way because our standards are different, our state standards. So if that's the case, if you download one of my focus walls or really any of my products and you notice that there's slight variation, just email me and I will send you the editable version. So you can just get on there and customize it. All right, so the Benchmark conference. So Benchmark somehow heard about what I was doing here with this Facebook group, and I was invited to present at their consortium conference in San Diego. Angelica, no, I don't, just English. And so anyway, I did a session on Thursday and a session on Friday, and my session was called Fitting It All In. Basically, how tools and strategies for getting those, like, 45 weekly lessons down into something more manageable, and what it actually looks like in the classroom. But really, the presentation kind of took a turn where I really just talked about everything that I see as a concern from this group. So I see assessment come up a lot, I see writing, I see centers. So I included all of that in my presentation, and I've uploaded my presentation to my Teachers Pay Teachers account. It's free, you can download it. And and apparently it was, I think it was well received. I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards and say that they really learned a lot from it. It was a ton of fun. Adriana, thank you. I think you gave me your email address to send you the presentation. Did you get it? I had to send it to a bunch of people Friday night, and a lot of the emails got bounced back to me. So if you didn't get it in your email, you can always get it from my TPT. So let's see. I also asked about future conferences, and apparently they had one in, I want to say, Sacramento, somewhere up north, and this was their second one. Okay, you're welcome. I'm glad you got it. This was their second one, and it was mostly just open to admin, TOSAs, coaches, specialists. So I don't think there were that many teachers there. So I asked about that, and they seemed to, they made it seem like there were going to be more in the future that would be open to teachers. So I'm hoping that happens. If I hear anything, I will let you all know. Some people are saying, why don't you just hold a conference? So that would be kind of fun too. If I can find the time, maybe we can all just, I don't know, go to Starbucks one day and just talk benchmark or something. So next week, I'm following my outline here. Next week, I'm doing my Q&A session with 2 benchmark consultants. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask that haven't been answered on our forum already, you can go ahead and find the Files tab, find your grade level. It'll say, for example, 6th grade questions. Click on that, add your question in there, and then I'm going to be literally handing them the questions and saying, here, see if you can figure out answers to these. And then when they get on the live video, they can go ahead and start answering some. And then I encourage you all to hop on as well and just leave questions in the comments. So that should be really valuable. Let's see what else. So today I wanted to start focusing on Unit 3. I'm not there yet. I'm on Unit 2, Week 2. I'm starting Week 2. So I don't want to go too much ahead because I can't start planning all the weekly plans yet. But I did want to get a head start with the overview because Unit 3 is big for me. I extend this unit beyond 3 weeks, beyond 4 weeks even. I'm going to see if time allows for me to do that again this year. But I like to do a full-on Project GLAD unit with this and really bring in the science standards and a big writing unit. So I'm hitting more than just reading with this next unit. So if some of you who are on the same track as me, same kind of pacing schedule as me, if you stick to your 3 or 4 week outline, we might lose each other because I like to really spend time on this. Okay, so what you will need to start planning Unit 3 with me is your overview sheet and then your TRS or the printouts. So I like to print out these pages from the TRS. They're online, week 1, week 2, and week 3, just so that I don't have to keep flipping back and forth in my TRS. So we're going to take these skills, plug them into this. Betty, do you ever change the order of the units? No, not really. Some teachers in my district do, but I like the order. As long as in my district, as long as we do units 1 through 3 in the first trimester, units 4 through 6, 7 in the second, and then the rest in the third trimester, then we're fine. All right, so let's start. And I have to show you these fun pens. My husband made these for me when he found out that I was going to be going to the conference. It says my name. He made me a whole bunch so that I could share with people at the conference. It's my blue one. So, Unit 3. Let's start with just the close reading skills. One thing I notice is that key details and main idea is every single week. Week 1, week 2, and week 3. So when I see that, I'm going to think to myself that I can teach that in my centers, in my small groups with the small group readers. A skill like that that spirals almost pretty much every week, every unit, I don't need to spend whole class anymore. I can just make that my guided reading focus. So I'm going to put that at the top and then, I don't know, put a small group next to it. So key details, main idea. My last live video was about small groups and how I made heterogeneous teams to visit the centers with. And then I pull homogeneous expert groups from those teams. So if you need any help structuring your small groups, go to the videos tab and you will hear my planning on that. That might offer you a little bit of support. Okay, I also see that week 1 and week 3, was it? Yes, week 1 and week 3 has a vocabulary focus. Context clues. I'm going to plug that in. Vocabulary. Yes, Benchmark gives you a set list of vocabulary words for each week. I don't teach vocabulary in isolation anymore. I take those words and I use the vocabulary picture cards for any kind of background or introduction type thing, but then I have I have the kids choose their vocabulary words. So as they're annotating, they're circling words that are unfamiliar, and then we use strategies for making meaning of those words. So that's really what I try to focus on when I'm teaching vocabulary. It's not words anymore, but the strategies for unlocking those words. It's in context. So there's that. Same with the spelling and the language. The phonics. In the way that it is in the TRS, I think Benchmark has you starting phonics and language like on Thursday or something. I start it Monday and I just teach my own little mini lesson based on like, the worksheet in the spelling grammar handbook, which my district didn't purchase. So I've got these guys, I make these. This is pulled from online and I've put all the worksheets on one pamphlet for the week so that it's just consolidated. It's easy for my kids to fill out. So Monday I'll just focus on this and do a quick little mini lesson on these skills, and then they can work on this in their centers all week long. And then in my whole group mini lessons, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will go back to the text and we'll find those skills in context, not in isolation. I also noticed that I've got compare, contrast, Sounds like you've got a smarty, Robin. Main idea of makeup, that's cute. Robin, there's a cool makeup group on Facebook where they do a lot of live videos of doing makeup. Those would be fun for you and your daughter to watch. Okay, compare contrast is all 3 weeks. We've been doing a lot of compare contrast. There's a lot in Unit 2 also. Spirals. That's why we're not teaching mastery in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 10 lessons. It's just mastery by the end of the year. It's exposure. A lot of these skills spiral. So that's hard to get used to. We're used to sitting down for 45 minutes, teaching cause and effect, testing it. Do you get it? Yes or no? But it's different now. It spirals. It's not necessarily, you know, you have to get it in one shot. So I'm going to put compare contrast for all 3. And I'm not really sure yet if I'm comparing and contrasting graphics, text features, genre features. I'm going to look more into detail on that when I actually plan out the weeks. So not now. Week 2, I have inferencing. Nice. That's spiraled from Unit 1. We did inferencing then. And then I see text connections, reasons, and evidence. That seems like close reading. Reasons and evidence. So this is where I am right now. And that's it for week 2. Week 3, I have inferencing. Make inferences about cause and effect. Whoa. Going to be big. Inferencing with cause and effect. Again, spiraling from Unit 1. More identify reasons and evidence. Okay, so let me use my different color here. A boring flare pen. Alright, so I'm going to put my annotations now. Small group for those first ones. It's like the whole, you're just going to have a whole bunch of spiraling on this, basically, probably. Not that much new stuff. Okay, spelling. Week 1 is R-controlled, A-R-O-R. What is it, A-R-O-R? Week 2, E-R, Y-R, and U-R. Then week 3, I'll get to questions in just a minute. Closed syllables. I love teaching closed syllables and open syllables. It's fun. Okay, grammar. We have a lot of grammar skills. Let's see. Oh, when I was making the focus walls, I realized that grammar is all review. In Unit 3, it's all review from Unit 1 and 2, if I'm remembering correctly. So week 1 is going to be regular verbs and verb tenses. So verb tenses and subject-verb agreement. Pretty sure we did these already. Week 2, punctuate dialogue and adjectives and adverbs. I'm doing that right now in Unit 2. And then coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions. That's coming up next week. I know because my partner and I are so excited to bring in the conjunction junction song. Coordinating It's coordinating. Okay, this is where I am. I'll post a picture of this too. Okay, let's take a break for questions. Editable version of the spelling sheets. Do you mean the spelling and grammar pamphlets? I can always send you an editable version. I make these all in PowerPoint, so it's pretty universal. Most of us have PowerPoint. I do use 2 special fonts. They're free to download. So when you open up the PowerPoint, the editable version, it's going to be all ugly with like Comic Sans or whatever on it, and you're welcome to use your own fonts, or you can download the fonts that I use. So I can always send that to you as an editable version if yours slightly varies. I'm a little behind in watching these Plan With Me videos. How do you determine which close reading skills to teach in your mini lessons each day? So it's based on what I've already taught and what the amount of spiraling. So the program is very cyclical. These skills are going to keep spiraling and spiraling. So key details and main idea, I've been teaching that a lot already this year, and that's something that's going to come up all the time. So I'm ready to migrate those to my small groups. I don't feel like by Unit 3 that I still need to be doing that in whole class lessons. Otherwise, I just determine which ones I'm going to teach based on the weekly breakdown, how often it's going to come up. So I know that compare contrast is going to come up all 3 weeks. So if I don't have time to do it in like week 2, for example, this looks like a heavy week, then I'm going to skip it and come back to it in week 3. I see that inferencing and reasons and evidence are pretty unique. I'm gathering that these are unique to informational units because I haven't seen this in Unit 2. Only in Unit 1, so I think I'm going to make sure that I touch on those because, you know, that's going to come up less frequently throughout the year. And yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. I like how it spirals and we don't need to teach to mastery, but on the assessment, they're still being tested on whether or not they can apply those skills on their own and my kids are failing. How do I assess them without looking for complete mastery? So Jenny, I'm not sure if you've seen my other videos, but a lot of the times the kids are gonna bomb the test just because the way that it's written. So for Unit 1, I take every single test with them. I read it to them, I read them the questions, I read the answers, and then I model my thinking. That way they get used to those Part A, Part B questions. Those, what else is there? Where they have to go and underline the sentence, or the ones that require them to go back and find the word in context. So they're used to that structure so that that is no longer an issue as we're moving on throughout the units. Now, if you look on your TRS, you are going to see, oh, it's not on this, but it's online, and I'm pretty sure it's in our hard copy. There are checks next to some skills. Those are the ones that are assessed that week. So that's also another way you might want to pick and choose your lessons because they're going to be on the test. But if not, you can always just cross those questions off of the test. Yeah, and Jenny, other than that, it does get better. If this is your first year using it, the program, the tests are going to be really hard for the kids. And just the switching from that mindset, like, you know, oh, I need to teach this skill, we're going to nail it for a couple weeks, we're going to test it, and we're done. It's different, and so it's harder to adjust, but over time, it will get better. Last year, my kids, in the beginning of the year, just maybe even the first half of the year, just bombed those. And so I don't use the assessments, the weekly and unit assessments, as the only piece of data for the report cards. So that might take a little weight off your shoulders, Jenny, also if you just look at other things too, and you don't have to give them a grade just based on these tests. We are halfway through the grading period. I'm starting to worry about what to grade and what you show parents at the conference. What do others do? I always let parents know right away at the conference, the first conference, that these tests are new, they're hard. It's not necessarily that their kid's not learning, it's just the test. I always recommend the parents go over the tests with the kids afterwards, and I warn them these tests are hard even for adults. And also, I take into consideration their reading level. We use Lexile. There's, you know, you might use Fountas Pinnell, whatever. Use that for grading. Use informal assessment. Read their quick writes in their journals. Are they understanding the, you know, graphic features or whatever based on their writing that week? So use a lot of things for that data. Angelica, can you send me a private message with your email address? Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to find it later on. And if you need the editable version of this, in your email, can you send me a screenshot of your receipt showing that you got it? So before I like send this out to the world. Oh, that's a good question, Erin. I feel that the key details are subjective, meaning that there are several options that are not in the TE that I think would be correct. Do you run into this with your students? Yes. In fact, for those lessons, I have my TE open, but it's on the side. I'm going through with the kids, and we're picking what's important together. And sometimes what we find is important is not what the TRS suggests. And sometimes we're stumped, and I'll glance and I'll say, oh, the book wants us to note that that was important, and I will just tell them that too. Because yeah, it is subjective. We all, you know, interpret and approach reading and text differently. Your district only lets you model and guide the test for Unit 1, Week 1. It's so sad. Because not all of the types of questions are just going to be on one test. You're going to see new types of questions on the other tests too. It's going to be new to the kids. You should talk to your district about that. Okay, now writing. Writing is, for Unit 3, writing is pretty cool. It's focusing on researching. So I'm not even going to look at that. I'm just going to write research for all 3 of these. Last year, we taught the kids how to evaluate articles online, copyright, what the website is, you know, the whole fake news thing, the authors, and then we taught them how to use the websites and articles as a source to help them research. And we did a unit-long writing assignment where they had to research an animal and present on it and write about it and all that stuff. I learned some new stuff about writing at the benchmark conference. And I've come to the conclusion, and it was an aha moment for me, that benchmark is a reading curriculum that has writing embedded, but they're writing about their reading. They're writing to sources. They're reading, they're getting ideas, and it's about their fluency and how they get their ideas onto paper. The curriculum, the writing aspect of the curriculum, was designed based on the Common Core standards for writing, and I heard the justification. If you're looking at the standards, there's really only one standard that says that the kids need to go through the writing process, editing, revise, you know, the whole 9 yards. There's so many other standards around writing, and so that's why their writing are these really short, you know, writing pieces that change every week. They're not necessarily fun, but they are embedding the reading in it. As soon as you get to Unit 7, you've taught all the reading standards for the year, And then those last units, those writing assignments are the drawn out unit-long writing. So I didn't know that. And one thing that I realized was, like, since this is a reading program, it's not meant to replace our writing curriculum. So we use Step Up to Writing in my district. So writing is separate. Many of you know I teach writing using my own thing called the Big Cheese. Every morning, as soon as they sit down, we start writing. We do the Big Cheese, and we write 5-paragraph essays over the course of a week. That's my writing block, really. My reading block comes later, so I keep it separate. But I do incorporate the weekly writing. As of this year, I've been pretty good at that, so that the students know how to take a prompt and know how to effectively answer that. So I like to give the example. In the beginning of the year, they took the Interim 1 assessment. They had to read an informational piece about the bald eagle. Then they needed to write a narrative about the time that they walked through a national park and saw a bald eagle. And my kids all wrote a wonderful informational piece about the bald eagle. 0, because they didn't write to the source or write to the prompt. It was supposed to be a narrative. So I have been diligent, and I've been diligently following those weekly writings so that the kids are used to seeing a prompt and then knowing what kind of writing is required of them from that prompt. All right. So yes, as we're planning Unit 3 more in depth with the weeks, I'll explain the kind of writing that I do. But basically, Unit 3, I like to bring in the interdependence for grade 3. NGSS is all about interdependence. Primary consumers, secondary consumers, the other words that I don't remember. And we do a lot of Project GLAD strategies. So I'm going to be making those crazy charts, tons of them for Unit 3 that I can share on the website. And even if you're not Project GLAD trained, you can still see how I use these charts, and you might want to try them out in your class as well. And then eventually the kids, they're researching an animal. They make their own pictorial charts with their markers. They get to play teacher. They make something called a mind map, which I'll show as well. I teach them how to cite their source. And then they write me a 5-paragraph essay, and then they present it. And I'm hitting so many standards there. And it's our first big presentation of the year, and it just really kicks it off because I do presentations like from here on out all the time. And yeah, so I will walk you through that writing assignment as we get to it if you guys are interested in doing it as well. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to be doing this unit-long writing assignment, and then as we're looking at the weeks, if I'm not really able to tell just based on this right now, but if they've got those nice little quick writes, I'm definitely still going to do those also in my centers. Do you have the Big Cheese resources available on your TPT? Yes, the Big Cheese was what made me make a TPT account 6 years ago, because I was doing it and other teachers at my school wanted to learn how to do it, and it was an idea that I picked up from my student teaching days, and I just kind of like modified it and made it into this pretty much my writing curriculum. It's not the only thing I do, but it gets I love it. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, it was my first product ever on TPT. So I've gone back and I've updated it a little bit. So, but don't judge me if it's ugly, but it's thorough. The Big Cheese, can I explain it? Yeah, so I took the idea of a star student or a student of the week or whatever, and we dubbed them, they're named the Big Cheese. And we take them through this like interviewing process where we learn about them. We learn that we categorize their responses. We're making, categories. And then every day we write a paragraph, and it's collaborative writing. So we'll take, one section of our Big Cheese recording sheet, and we will turn those ideas, those bullet points, into sentences, and collaboratively, verbally revise each other's sentences, and we all end up with the same final product. And I also like it because that's when I bring in my language skills for the week, our spelling skills also. So if we're writing a sentence about Stephanie and how she loves to read. Oh, read is a verb. Can you give me an adverb that shows me how she likes to read or where she likes to read? And then that's bringing in your language skills too. And then we take all those ideas and we write them down. Michelle, is it possible to get your planning sheets editable? Yeah, someone put the planning sheets on Google Draw, and that is uploaded in our files. So you can actually go to our files, find that link, open it up, and you can write on it. I actually don't think you can change what I already have there, but you can like make text boxes and like cover things if you need to. And if you want me to send this to you, I can do that too. I feel like I'm giving myself a lot of work because now I'm going to get a million emails where I have to send like editable versions of things. Sorry if it takes me a while. Okay, now bringing in Project GLAD. With this unit, I start with my vocabulary picture file cards, and I do an observation chart activity. I did observation charts for Unit 1, and those pictures of my kids doing them are uploaded in our pictures, so you can see what that looks like. I start the unit with that. We take it to an inquiry chart, which is like kind of like a KWL type thing. No, Robin, I haven't talked about the inquiry project yet. And then we take it to a pictorial chart. We do this big pictorial input chart on the desert biome. And then we create a mind map based on that. And then eventually in our teams, our kids are each assigned a biome and they report on that. And it's very, very NGSS. And we also paid for Mystery Science this year and STEM Scope, so I'm going to figure out how to bring all that in too. Let's see. If you are Project GLAD trained, I have a template on my TPT that walks you through all the steps. Maybe we can do a session sometime just on that. And then the, okay, so the inquiry-based project. There is someone on our site, Galen, I think her name is. She is a kinder teacher, and she's doing some amazing things using STEAM projects. She's just been starting researching, I guess, on Pinterest, looking for ideas. Our TRS, our program comes with these excellent inquiry-based projects. They can be located in the back of your TRS under the Additional Resources tab, and those projects are, it's project-based learning, and it connects to social studies, it connects to science. The kids are writing, reading, presenting, using technology, all those 21st century skills. So for Unit 3 last year, what I did was they had to create a habitat or something like that. They had to create their ideal habitat and bring in the idea of interdependence and all the different interactions in their habitat. Almost like they were working for a zoo, like they were tasked with the project of recreating the ecosystem for them. So that's what my kids did last year in addition to our big assignment. And then we also had someone come out and present to us. It was a scientist who went to Madagascar and studied meerkats and meerkats' interdependence with their ecosystem. And so that was neat too. I wanted to set up a Skype with the Santa Barbara Zoological Gardens, but then I realized that I don't know how to do Skype in my classroom. But if you guys know how to do Skype in your classroom, that's a really fun idea too. See if you can get a zoologist on the screen and talk to you about designing these ecosystems. That's very, connected to NGSS. But Galen is basically making STEAM projects, so I thought it would be neat if all of us went and tried to design neat STEAM projects that might go along with each unit. She's just doing it for kinder. But if we can think of something as we're going through and planning, then that would be fun to share ideas on here. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad that this is helping you. Yeah, the inquiry-based projects are the best. They're my favorite part about Benchmark. That's why I usually take that 4th week off. Instead of jumping into the next unit, I will do the project for that week, and then I also give the unit assessment piece by piece over the course of that 4th week. The inquiry-based projects are what it's all about. They're actually applying their learning of the concepts and using all their 21st century skills. I also learned more about the writing universe at the conference, and I remember when Benchmark was pitching their program to us 3 years ago, that was one of the things that I thought was really interesting. On Benchmark Universe, there's something called the Writer's Universe, where the kids are walked through the stages of writing, and it all takes place online. And you can start by assigning them like a graphic organizer that they can fill out online, and then once they're not able to move to the next step until you unlock it. So you can review where they're at before they move to the next step, which I love, because how many times do your kids raise their hand and be like, I'm done. Oh, did you revise and edit? Yeah. Like, okay, really? So I like that you have to go in and review and see what they've actually done before the next level is unlocked. And, you know, unlocking levels is super fun if you're a kid. So it starts with like a graphic organizer, brainstorming, and then it's a drafting stage, and then it takes you through the revising, the editing, and the publishing. It's all done online. So that's really neat, and I might try to incorporate that with Unit 3. How many writing assignments do you take through the entire editing process in a unit? 1 with my 3rd graders. 1. I don't take the editing and revising. I don't do those steps with those quick weekly writings. Those are just done in their little ugly journals. Those don't go up on the wall or anything, because the point of those is just to see, can they analyze the prompt and write to it. So it's more like comprehension. And then yeah, so the unit, for Unit 3, I'm just doing 1 big writing assignment, all the way from researching to publishing and presenting. Writing Universe, where is it under online? I don't think it's under assignments. When you log onto your dashboard, you know how you see an icon that says like Benchmark Advance, Adelante? There's like a little button up on the left-hand side with lines. If you click on that, I think if in that drop-down menu, I think that's where you're gonna see Writer's Universe. Nina. And I think someone commented about it on our group wall recently. Came at the perfect time. You're welcome. Scroll all the way down. Yeah, it's its own button. It's its own thing. Okay, wait, if I try to go online, is this gonna knock me off my video? Let's see. Burbank, top benchmarking. Oops, that's my district. So much for privacy. Okay. Dashboard. Oh yeah. Okay, so my dashboard looks like Benchmark Advance, Adelante, ELD, and then Writer's Universe Library. So we click on that, and then it'll take you through it. That's how you find it. Hi, Tina. This is what we did, and that's it. We'll go into the weekly view later in a couple weeks once we're all closer. All right, let's see. Let me make sure I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So centers, I launched my centers after we had that talk last week in my live video. They went live this last week, and I wasn't there Thursday and Friday. Obviously, I was in San Diego for the conference, and my RTI teacher, she's pushing, and she texted me and said that Thursday and Friday, they got it. They did it well. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I had them get into their centers with me just kind of circulating and troubleshooting. And so that next week, when I'm actually pulling my guided reading group, my homogenous groups, my kids aren't bugging me in their teams. And it went really well. We had their Read to Self Center. They worked on the text-dependent questions bookmarks that I made. And so for the kids that went to Read to Self on Monday with those bookmarks, since we hadn't read all the weekly texts yet, they could only answer the first 2 questions, and then there was 2 more that they had to go back to on Friday during their catch-up center and complete those. So that's something that I didn't really know would happen until I actually saw it. Word work, these little things for some reason are so hard for my kids, for my lower ones. So I was glad that I decided on those heterogeneous teams because they were helping each other with that. And if they didn't finish in that half-an-hour center, they had to do it during catch-up. I had some kids finish these, some kids that didn't. No one really whizzed through these, which I was anticipating. Then I had the writing center. That went well. They wrote to our weekly prompt, which was to write a fable. And then our tech center, our technology center, the kids were doing their listening to reading, and they were previewing the text for Unit 2 that we haven't gotten to yet. I also have that Google Slides activities, which not all my students can access yet because we're still new on Google Classroom. But that's going to be really fun. That's on my TPT. You can customize that to match your weeks. So basically I have like, I don't know, maybe 20 activities on there that are all like response to reading or writing or word work or vocab in a Google Slides format. And then, and graphic organizers, so they can go and actually manipulate those, and you can change them based on the week if you need to. But my kids are not pros at Google Classroom yet, so we're not quite there yet. And then I think for Unit 3 during our tech center, I might try to bring in like more of a research angle, since they will have to be researching for their unit-long writing assignment. Maybe I'll create something for that too. Okay, Erin, yeah, try it. It's neat. Without going into too much detail, because I totally already have a video on this, I've got my heterogeneous teams and my homogeneous reading groups. So they're with their teams. For the centers, I do 1 center a day for 30 minutes from 11:30 to 12, and then I'm pulling out of each team all my lows, all my medium lows, all my medium highs, and my highs. And Monday I'm doing my lows, and then again on Fridays. And I've got 4 total centers, so everyone works through the centers and are done by Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's that catch-up day. So it worked out really well this past week. It made me really confident, so then I launched my math groups too. I'm doing like a daily 3 math groups, and it went well. I could totally be one of those teachers that teaches in centers all day. Tammy, yes, you can come back and see this another time. This video, as soon as I end it, will be archived in our videos tab, and then I'll probably put it on YouTube so people who don't have Facebook can access them. All right, unless there are any more questions, I'm going to end this. So I'll give you guys a couple more minutes. But other than that, I think that's it. I've had people ask if they can share these videos during their school's PDs. Totally fine. I know that you can't access Facebook at schools, but most of us can access YouTube. So if you YouTube my channel, which is, I think, Markers and Minions. It's either Markers and Minions or Toluca Rivers. Then you'll be able to see some of my things on there. And I've got, you know, videos that talk about assessment and writing and small groups, all the big things that teachers get scared about with the new program. Tina, did my comment show up? No. Tina, your last comment was, I'm late. Hi, everyone. On your weekly planner on Fridays, I noticed the week assessments say week 1 for each week. Do you repeat the weekly assessment each week? Oh, no. Whoops. Let me see if I have my... Week 1 assessment. No, for week 2 and week 3, it should be week 2 assessment, week 3 assessment. Typo, probably. Thanks for catching that. I'll have to write myself a note. Fix weekly planner. Okay. When you change up centers, do you change them at a new unit? No, Erin, but I just launched my centers last week, so who knows? Anything can happen. But I don't think I'm going to be changing them. You're welcome, Vicki. Tina, what was your comment? Oh, I'm getting a lot of requests for editing the annotating posters that I have on my shop to add more symbols. The symbols change. Every unit, you're going to have different symbols based on what type of text it's going to be. So like in Unit 2, you're going to see sequencing symbols or whatever. And I tried to just keep my posters generic, the basic symbols that you can use for any text. So I can go through and start adding those other requests, but it's kind of not at the top of my to-do list, so it might take a little while, so thank you for your patience on that. Okay, and lastly, I have been recording my mini lessons, and I've been kind of like shy to post them because I don't know if you guys all want to see me teaching all day long, but I have a lesson that I did on the Ballad of John Henry, sensory details that I filmed, so I can upload that if I have people that actually want to see that. Did you talk about Project GLAD? Yes, Tina. Unit 3, I talked about how I'm probably going to lose a lot of you guys because I spent a really long time on Unit 3 and I do a full-on GLAD unit because I'm embedding so much science into it. So if you are Project GLAD, you will love this unit because it's just posters galore and teams and team tasks. And okay, I'll post that mini lesson. Okay, good. So my mini lesson on sensory details, I rewatched it the other day, and there's a lot of true teacher moments in that video, so don't judge me. I had to bring out my teacher voice a few times. You guys are really going to get to know my kids. Adriana, will you be sharing your plans for the inquiry project for Unit 3? Yes. Yeah, as soon as I decide on what I will be doing, I might try to do the build your own habitat thing again. We'll see. And if I can create something around this writing project that I make for my own students, I'll be sure to share that if something comes out of that. Okay, good. All right, I'll share it then. All right. I think that's it, guys. So when I log off, I'm going to go through, answer some of your questions so that people who don't have time to watch the video can just scroll through the comments. And then I will see about uploading that other video tonight or tomorrow. I'm also trying to work on Unit 2 right now for 3rd grade. You know how the small readers are not consumable? My partner and I wish that our kids could annotate all over it, and Post-its are not ideal. So I'm actually typing up every story and taking the text-dependent questions that go with that section of the story, and I'm putting it in there for the space for the kids to answer. So that's kind of what where my brain has been lately. I'll share that when I'm done with it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week. I'll be on here with a couple of benchmark folks, so Get your pitchforks out. I'm just kidding. Be nice, but think of some good questions. All right, bye guys. Have a good week.